Welcome to the Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson podcast, the podcast where we head down the road of the supernatural and beyond. So sit back and hold on as we take a ride together to what lies in the unknown and beyond the veil. Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson presents guest host Lynn Nicholls. Lynn is a psychic medium and intuition expert with clientele worldwide. Her specialty is connecting to the other side and showing people how to elevate their intuition to enhance their lives. Lynn's ability to provide specific and meaningful messages makes her one of Canada's top psychic mediums. She does interactive messaging shows, corporate large group intuition training, TV, radio, and podcast guest spots, writes articles, and does private readings. And now your host, Daniel Jackson.
Do you think that the reason those things happen is because of the energy that you brought in there, basically?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering, I've asked myself that too. And, I'm not the one that goes under a stop, a street light and it turns off. And I don't think I have anything to do with that. So that's not it. I'm just wondering if the message might be, go to another TV show.
Maybe, right, for you. Right.
Yeah.
I have problems with computers all the time. My wife and I have the same phone. My phone does all kinds of wacky shit. Hers does nothing.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that was just Spirit's way of telling the TV place to stop being in business, or you to go on and do something else.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because they just switched buildings about a month ago. So
really?
That's kind of cute.
And how's things going since they switched buildings?
Oh no, not great. I don't think. I don't know. I haven't been on the show since then because we've been in Arizona, so I haven't seen it. But
what part of Arizona did you go to?
Well, we stayed in a little. That's not little anymore. Queen Creek, which is just southeast of Phoenix.
Yes, absolutely.
Then, it's a great little town. That was our home base. We have a friend there, and we would just go out and meet our friends and go for razor rides and go to the, I was going to say the beach, but there's no beach. So
did you get to see any of the unusual wildlife here, like javelinas or anything like that? Yes. Cool looking little pigs, but I saw some when we first got here. A couple of them right across the street, and I took a picture and I showed my wife. I said, "Look at these," and she's like, "Oh my God." And as I was doing that, a three-legged coyote ran down our street right past it.
Oh my goodness.
I ran over there and said, "Here, boy." My wife's like, "What are you doing? What, are you nuts or something?" I'm like, "He's only got 3 legs. I can get away."
Yeah. I haven't been able to we didn't have time to get to Sedona, which would have been interesting to go to. But there's a lot of stuff, like speaking of Sedona, I'm not meditating and I'm not like that kind of psychic. It's just
it just happens.
I just listen. I just listen and see weird shit in my head. So I don't tell you.
Who doesn't have some weird shit in their head? But absolutely. I try to meditate. I did last night, but I don't do it very often. But I do encourage it for other people who want to try to communicate or get in touch with spirit themselves. And I don't like to say it this way, but it is for you. It's just easier for you and I.
Yes, just like like basketball is easier for LeBron James than you or I, right? So we're just built
like when you were saying about going to Sedona, I was actually being touched right here on the top of my head, and I know who does that, and he really does want you to go there.
One day I'll get there.
Yeah. Michael,
that's cool.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like what you think he looks like. I actually see them as well.
No way.
Yes, they don't. Like I said, most of them don't even look like people. Some of them look humanoid, but they're not human. I have one who touches the top of my head like this. It feels like she's rubbing my head. And she does that a lot because if I'm nervous about something, she'll try to calm me down or something like that. Like if I see something, but like lately it's been going on catch it on the internet news, she'll say, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." She actually looks like a woman. Her name's Helen. She was a woman, walked on earth. She was an Egyptian princess. I see her with like a mask type thing around her face. I just see her eyes, but everything else is black, and it has like diamonds all over her.
Wow.
We were actually watching TV one time, my wife and I, about Egypt, and when that part came on about this Egyptian princess, they start touching me like crazy, and then she started touching me like crazy. I'm like, what's going on? And then I look at the TV again, and then she starts touching me. I said, oh. I pointed to the TV. I said, is that where you come from? And I got, yes. And I was like, because I can get them touching me for yeses, but if it's just a general yes, I'll get just one right here. And she said, yes. I said, were you Egyptian princess? And she said, yes. And I was like, holy mackerel, now I know. That's why I see you with all those sparkly things all over your face and stuff.
Cool.
But the other ones, they don't look like that.
No.
No, if you saw them, if anybody saw them, you would think monster.
I've heard that.
Like Uriel, Ezekiel, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Ezekiel. They look like, when I see them at nighttime, because I see them in my room at nighttime. I see them during the day, but it's just different. But when I see them at nighttime, it's like having these 7-8 foot praying mantises standing in my room.
Wow.
And they're all standing there and they're just looking at me, and then one will look at me and move his head, and then I get a thought into my mind. My own thoughts are not even mine anymore. I'm only like 15% me anymore and 20% them. They're always constantly touching me and answering me with things and stuff like that. I wake up in the morning and just, new things.
Mm-hmm.
Things are about to happen, and you're like, I didn't know that yesterday. So
interesting. What's interesting when you're talking about touching, that's one of the things I teach my clients, it's like, just sit quietly, and our hands and our faces are the most, bless you. Our faces are the most sensitive parts of us. So if you want an answer from spirit or mom or whoever, say, okay, mom, if the answer is yes, touch me on the right cheek, or dad, if you're here, hold my hand. And then try not to create the feeling, but notice what you notice. Notice if there's tingles, temperature changes, pressure. Notice what's going on, and you'll get your answer. And just trust it, for crying out loud.
Absolutely. That's the hardest thing for people to do, because they can't trust themselves. So they figure, but I think sometimes that's why they come to us, because we do trust it. And then if they come to us and get an answer from us, then they can trust it. Like asking a doctor something. Well, I can trust if a doctor tells me. If you tell me I got a broken leg, I don't believe you. But if the doctor tells me, then I go, oh. And then you as a person go, told you so. But
told you.
Yeah. Just pick up on those, or pick up on any of the signs that they give us. But I tell people, when they give you a sign, not just listen to it, but follow through with it. So if you ask your mom, hey, mom, I want to buy this red car. Should I buy the red car? And if they bring you the signs, then go buy the red car. But I also tell them what it doesn't mean is buy the red car, but take some of the money and go put it on some jewelry instead. I said, when you turn it around and manipulate it into something else that you didn't ask your mom for, it's probably not going to go very well, because you changed it with your free will, with your ego, with all that stuff. If they're going to ask a question, ask a specific question, and then when you get the answer, follow through with it. That's all, because they really are trying to help us.
Yes, and question asking can be very tricky too, because you can say, am I going to get this new car soon? Well, soon to you soon to you might mean 2 days, soon to me might mean 2 years.
Right, yeah.
So question asking has to be not incredibly specific, but it's tricky.
Yes, as in the very beginning, when I was asking questions to get answers, because when I was getting touched, I didn't realize I was getting touched. I just thought it was something, and I was like, oh, I'm brushing it off my head. But my wife would say, well, maybe you're not asking the question in the correct way. Maybe you need to ask it differently. Yeah. So, and that's what they need to learn to do. And then follow through with it, because like we just said, where they are, there's really no space and time there. So soon to them, because where they are, they just are. They're just going. But
Yes.
in a sense, so are we, because you just wake up one day because you're born, and then you just go. You don't really stop or slow down. You go to sleep because your body needs rest, but you are continuously going until it's time to not go anymore.
Right.
And then you
Right.
leave here and go to the next place. That's all.
Yes.
By your choice, you know, if you want to go into the light, go ahead. If you don't, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I see it in there. It's not bad. There's nothing to do. I see landscape. I don't see any trees. I don't see any buildings. I just see gazillions and gazillions and gazillions of people walking around. Weird thing is, they all got clothes on, but all they're doing is just interacting with each other.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
it. Really interacting with each other. But
Wow.
yeah, good for them, you know. But that's all there is.
Interesting.
When I look into the other realm, there's all kinds of stuff to do. They're doing
Wow.
all kinds of things. They don't walk up and hug each other like we want to think that we're doing.
No.
They walk up to each other, they look at each other, they bow to each other. It's really neat. Some of
Oh,
them,
wow.
a lot of them don't look human as well. Some of them I've seen actually look like cartoons. It's really strange. But
Oh, interesting.
yeah, because even though on this other side here on the earthbound, there's no one there torturing anybody, but there may be somebody walking around with horns and a tail. But that's
Yeah.
that's because that's what he looks like where he comes from. Because
Yeah.
if people think we're the only ones, no.
Nah.
But yeah, there's too much intelligent life out there, intelligent life anyway. So and that's one thing that you do. You connect with the other side being, like with the little boy.
Mhm.
He was still on this side, and then he wanted you to get him to the other side.
Right.
You just kind of just figured, okay, I'll give it a shot. And because what's it going to hurt, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What did you do to actually just send him on his way? How did you direct him to get to where he needed?
Well, I don't remember them specifically, and each one was different, but I would sum it up as to more or less having just sitting down, having a conversation with a friend, like
Yeah.
trying to convince a friend to go into the other room. You know what? It's beautiful there. You'll see your mother there. You'll
Right.
see that kind of thing. Okay, bye. So,
And it makes you wonder, why didn't they think of that anyway?
Well, in that case, the daddy was a bit of a jackass,
Right.
so murderer. But
Did dad go?
after what I would classify as an argument between him and I, you know,
And
I don't
doesn't that suck?
yeah, probably based on what you just told me, which I didn't know about what they can and cannot do, you know, the stuff. That's probably why he stayed over here. So
Yeah, they stay here because they choose to hold on to their pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, and anguish, and all that negativity. And if you choose to hold on to that, you can't cross over.
yes,
So
right.
he still believes he's still the same guy he was when he left and
Yeah.
did not want to let that go.
You know, pounding on
Right.
the chest.
I'm in control of everything, and whether you like it or not.
What was kind of cute about that story is that happened in the 80s, and about 3 or 4 years, maybe even 3 or 4 months, I don't know. I shared a story on my social media about Leo, the little boy, and my cousin who lived next door to me instantly messaged me and said, "Oh my God, I used to see a little boy around that neighborhood, and he told me his name was Leo." And she said, "I never told anybody this." And it was just like, was that kind of validation, like, okay, I wasn't crazy when I was 12.
Right. Well, and the same validation of this is only a physical world to us. So, you know, I've seen spirit, or people say, "Oh, I saw a spirit walk through the wall." No, you saw a spirit walking, because
Yes.
they don't see walls. They're just where they are. They just are there. That's all. So
And the one thing though that, and I'm sure you tell people this too, like some people have said to me, and not meaning to be mean, but they'll say to me, "How do you know you're not just insane or schizophrenic?"
just heard that 2 days ago on an interview.
Yeah. And it's I said, because I can turn it on and off when I want to. Nobody's telling me through the TV to go jump off my roof.
Right.
There's I'm not being coerced into anything. It's there when I want or need it to be there.
Yes.
So I'm in total control of it. It's not in control of me. So if people are starting to see really wonky things, I'm not saying, folks, I'm not saying you're crazy, but just make sure you are mentally stable at that point. Because even in
Yes.
tough times, we can see weird stuff.
Yes. Yes. Yes, there are times that our mind can play tricks on us, but a lot of the times, even unfortunately, when we do have children and they are seeing what a lot of
Yeah.
people will say, imaginary friends,
Yes.
your kid is seeing some spirit and your kid just got some answers. Maybe what you should do is go ask your kid to go ask some more questions. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And one
Yeah.
of the things I do share with people is, if they're comfortable, to ask, if they've had the conversation with the spirit, is to ask them for some kind of validation that it
Right.
actually happened. So even like with my own mother, one day this is ages ago, years and years ago, I was driving down the highway and I felt like, I always tell people, talk to people in your car, because they're always in the car. So I'm chatting with my mother who's been passed, and at the end I said, Mom, if this actually happened, this conversation actually happened, what am I going to see in the next 5 kilometers? Which I shouldn't do because that doesn't actually exist. But I said, what am I going to see?
What's ahead of me?
Yeah. And she said, big black blankets. And I'm on the highway. How am I going to see big black blankets?
Oh no.
I keep driving, and within 2 kilometers, they're building this apartment building or something, is covered in big black tarps.
Right.
And I just went,
Right.
oh, good one.
Right. Yeah. They know something. You're gonna see it and you're gonna pick up on it.
Yeah, and it's not always that obvious. So I would encourage people not to go reading things or reaching into things, but notice what you notice.
Right.
It feels like an answer.
Do you find in a way that spirit does give you answers for some things, but not for others because they know it's just not important?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very frustrating for me, and it's very frustrating for people. And it's just like, I don't have the answer for you. I'm sorry. You have to make that decision, like with your own intuition, or just as a normal, quote unquote, normal human being. And
yeah, I did an interview a couple of nights ago. I do other interviews on other shows. 3 guys. One guy said, "Do you see anything around us?" And one guy said, "Yeah, you have a dog next to you." He said, "A dog?" I said, "Yeah, like a shepherd or something like that." So later on, he messages me and he shows me a picture. And he says, "Is this the dog?" I said, "Yeah, that's the dog." And he's like, but one of the other guys on the show kept hounding me about his 3-year-old sister that he never met that passed away. And he wanted to know why she passed away at 3 years old. And because it's just her time to go. That's it.
that's a hard thing to answer. Yeah.
And I said, "So you've never met the sister?" He said, "No." He said, "I need this answer because my mom and dad are still suffering." I said, "That's the lesson for your mom and dad to learn, that they need to move on with their lives. It's not about, you don't suffer over someone who lost 36 years ago."
Yeah.
You know? And he said, "Why can't you get me the answer?" Now, I said, "Because Spirit is telling me it's been so long, it's not important anymore. It's time to move forward and move on. You're here because you're supposed to be. They're just not. That's all." But I did later get the answer. And then I told the other guy with the dog, I told him, I said, she had a problem with her heart. She had a tear in her aorta. And he said, "Well, the girl died in a car accident." And I said, "What do you expect? She's 3. She died in a car accident." I said to him, "Does everybody survive car accidents?" No. She died because she was in a car accident. Why are they still hounding, trying to find the answer of why she died at 3 in a car accident? Because some people have trauma that you don't see, but it's internally.
Yes.
She could have been perfectly fine, but died because of something that shook her. But you know, I tried to explain it to him like when that rock band, Leonard Skinner, when they got into that airplane crash, the drummer was sitting right next to the lead singer. There was not a mark on him, but he died. But that guy survived, and he was all beat up. because
Yeah.
that's just the way it happens, and let it go, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Yeah,
spirit too, without, when people can't get answers, I do tell them, you know what, spirit can't interfere with your life lessons or your karma.
right,
If you go through, try and figure it out from that point of view, and you probably will get your answer.
right. And they will help you you ask questions, and they will help you to hopefully help you make better decisions,
Mhm.
learning your lessons, but they can't interfere with it and change it for you. You are here to learn your lessons.
Right, exactly.
I had this lady tell me one time, she said, I want to go on trips. Am I going to be able to go on trips this coming year? She said this year. I said, no, you're not going to be able to go on any trips this year because your credit is horrible, but you're just not going to be able to go. And you
Right,
can't go. I
right.
said, you live day by day, and you don't have enough money and all this stuff. And she said, I just went to 3 other mediums and they said I was going to go.
Do you want to
said,
hear?
I said, why are you coming to me if you went to 3 other mediums? You
Yeah.
know, I said, I'm not going to undermine anybody else, but I'm just telling you the truth. You're not going to go.
Yeah.
That was February 2nd of 2020. She did not go on any trips because they shut that shit down. And then she called me back and said, oh, I want a refund because I don't think you were telling me the truth. I said, no, I was telling you the truth.
Yeah.
You know you can't afford to go on these trips because you don't have any money to do it. You can't. I said your credit was bad, and then she told me on the phone that all her credit cards were maxed out. I said, so do you really think you're going to go on trips? And she said, no, I don't. I just really want to go. I said, I know you really want to go.
Of
Save
course.
up for a couple of years and then you'll be okay
Yeah.
and pay off your bills. But they just, like we said, they want answers when they want them, and they don't want to wait for them. She believed that spirit were going to be these magical beings that were going to come and fix her credit, and she could go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Yeah, I thought so too.
They vacuum my house too?
Yeah, I love Doug Henning, but you know what? He's not real, because magic is fake as shit. So yeah. I like to see that guy who busts the watermelons on stage. That's pretty cool, but that's not magic. That's just magical sledgehammer, maybe. Yeah. So let me see. I got some. So do you ever? Because I get this all the time. I do a live show on Facebook, and I let people come in and ask questions for free.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you stay away from the political stuff? When people ask you political questions, how do you go about?
Political things, they have too many variables to accurately predict, if that's a good word to use. So things like that are very tough to give even like one option on. There's so many because there's so many people involved.
Right.
So do I stay away from it? I'll try if I can get an answer. If the political thing personally affects my client,
right.
I could tell them how they fare as a result of the political thing. But in general, political stuff is tough to do because
it affects more than just one person. It affects a wide variety of people, and then everyone using their free will can change things. Like you said, when you give an answer to somebody, you give I love people who say, oh, you gave me an answer, but it didn't go the right way. And I say, well, let me ask them a question. Oh, that's because you used your free will to change it. And they go, oh, well, yeah, I guess I did do that.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
It's about listening and following through, and they have to do that. But as you said, I never really used that word, but I will use it now. It's about trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the lack of.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
So how do you teach people to trust themselves?
Yeah, that's a tough one because you go back to childhood and like how you were taught not to trust yourself.
Right.
So what I do is try and get them in tune with their own body and what yes or good feels like and what no or bad feels like. So they don't trust their own minds. So it's like, well, just trust your body. So I will ask them, okay, picture this. You're going to your favorite restaurant and you're ordering you see your favorite chocolate dessert or your favorite dessert on the menu. How does your body feel? Oh, it feels good. Da, 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 da. Okay. And now you see cow tongue. How do you feel? And you can just see them go, oh, it's like, where do you feel that in your body? And I'm like, okay, so if you have to make a decision, how do I feel about this new job? Do I feel cow tongue or do I feel chocolate decadent? So like they will start to trust their own feelings in their body sooner than they'll trust their own thoughts.
Sure.
So we start there. And so we go from cow tongue and chocolate decadence to the less extreme things like pizza. Okay, pizza with pineapple, pizza with olives. Like how are you feeling? So we'll sort through it and see if it's an extreme reaction or a very subtle reaction, because intuition is very subtle and very fleeting. So it's important to be able to take it from cow tongue level. And sorry, cow tongue lovers, I don't know.
My wife loves cow tongue. Yeah. If you would have said pizza with sardines, I would have thought the same thing about cow tongue. No.
Yeah, so it's just training. How's your stomach feel? How does your chest feel? How do you feel tight? Feel tingly? Get in touch with that. And because your gut, like trust your gut. Your gut knows things sooner than your brain does. There's more nerve things in your gut than up here. So trust your gut.
You're teaching them to get out of their head and get into the rest of them, which is their intuition, which is their actual soul within them and stuff. Because of the free will and the ego is up in here, and we have to get away from that in order to
get it.
Do you do just individuals of that, or do you try to do classes with that as well?
Yeah, I do classes, and when I do my shows, I do like to weave it into there.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm seeing this and blah, 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 blah. Like I'll try and explain how I do it without taking up too much time, because the messages are the most fun part.
Right.
But I'll weave it into that. And now that the world is opening up, I'll be able to do more classes.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
And when you do the shows, you say it's averagely about 50 people, but sometimes larger.
Usually they're about 50 is usually minimum. Usually around 150, 200, could be 500. Yeah.
Right. Wow, that's a lot of people to stand in front of. But I do. Yeah, me too. I do workshops where I will stand in front of a crowd of people and tell them why we're here and what our purpose is and all that stuff.
Nice.
And then at the end, I like to do what I'm able to do is walk around the crowd. If I ask them, does anyone like to know if they have fulfilled their purpose or not? Because I can ask and they'll tell me, they'll do the yes or no on the face and let me know. And I walk around going, yes, yes, no, no, yes, no, no. And I had one girl go, what do you mean no? And I said, right there. And she said, what do you mean by that? I said, egotistical. And she's like, I said, look at you, you have gold all over you, yeah, this, you're coming at me all kind of, no, sorry. I said, I don't make the rules, I just explain them, that's all.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
When you do these shows, do you have to give them instructions before you start the program?
I give them very quick instructions, and I try and make it fun. I want people to laugh. I want people to have a great time. And if you go away with a personal message, that's great. I just explain very quickly how it works for me. And I'll say, like we've talked about, sometimes I don't get the whole picture.
Works differently for everybody.
Yes. And I'll say, I'm going to tell you what I'm getting. And if it's you, raise your hand, and I'll explain things such as, if I'm getting Robert can be Rob, Robbie, Bobby, last name Robertson. So, but I always say, don't reach too far. But if it feels like it's for you, it's for you. But luckily, the way whoever I connect with works is they're very specific. Like things are incredibly specific. So names will come up, very specific things. So I want people to go, oh, yep, that's me. So I tell them that. And if it doesn't feel like, oh, that's me, then it's not you. So
right, absolutely. I went to a show because when I was figuring out me, I reached out to like 5 mediums, and all 5 of them didn't know each other, but they all told me the same story about me.
Cool.
And
That's
then
cool.
one of them said, but I didn't pick up on because I was so new to this. She said, I want you to come to one of my shows because I want you to see how I do it.
Nice.
And I didn't figure that out at the moment, but now I know. So I didn't tell her I was coming. So I bought 2 tickets. My wife and I went. We walked through the door. There was like about 50 people in there. But the strange part was, but we'll talk about this later. The strange part was, as soon as I walked in the door, she locked eyes on me and watched me sit
Oh, boy.
in my chair.
Mm-hmm.
So when she read people, 50 people there, she read 8 people out of the 50.
Okay.
And
That's not bad.
it lasted for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And same thing. She said, you know, this is how I do things. Don't, and she told everybody, don't cross your arms, don't cross your legs, allow spirit to come in,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And she said, but I have this one spirit that keeps coming, trying to get to the front of the line, tell me a bunch of things. I got to keep telling them to back up. Funny how you say the word Robert. But when she read one person, there was always this one girl in the room who, every time she talked about something, this one girl kept saying, I think it's me, and it
Always
just
one of
just
those.
wasn't.
Yeah.
And it especially wasn't when she said, okay, this one spirit's coming up, he keeps coming up. She said his name is Robert, goes by name, but he also goes by Bob. She said he wears flannel shirts, white t-shirts at home, but he wears a business suit. And then she stood up and she goes, I think it's me, I think it's my uncle Robert. And she said, and the lady said, does he wear flannel shirts? Well, no. Does he wear white shirts? No. Does he wear a business suit? Well, no. She goes, well, I don't think it's you. And I stood up, I said, it's me. And she said, why? I said, my dad's name is Robert, but he goes by Bob. He wears a flannel shirt, he wears a white shirt, but he also wears a business suit. She said, okay. She said, I'm also getting a school bus, somebody wearing scrubs and a stethoscope and prison bars. And I said, yeah, that's me. I just went back to school for medical records and I work in prison.
Oh my goodness. That's
And I was
incredible.
like, so at that moment, I was like, and I looked at my wife and I was like, oh my God. And I started getting the goosebumps. And then she said, your dad is showing me he fell down and that's how he passed away. And I said, yeah, I said, my dad fell down on a flight of steps and it moved his brainstem. And then she said, and this is how I knew it was real, super real for me, when she said, who is Sarah? And I said, Sarah? I said, my niece? She said, no, Sarah, who had to make the big decision for your dad to pass.
Oh.
And I said, oh, that's my mom. She said, your mom named Sarah? I said, no, my mom's name is Joan. Her middle name is Sarah. And I was like, and then I just started getting, and then she went into a bunch of other stuff. And I just knew, I was like, okay,
Wow.
this is great. But yeah, I ended up going to talk to her at the end of the show, but I'll talk to you about that later. So when you do these shows, do you ever get people who are just like, so I'm sure you have people who come to the show who do want to get readings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But because of you being you and getting all these correct answers all the time, that's why, you know, when people get angry or people ask you why you're crazy, or do you think you're really crazy? Well, no, I get too many right answers to be crazy. But
Right.
Do you also have what we would consider fans of you as well?
Yes. Yep. I've been at, say, grocery store, Walmart, even with the mask on, and I'll get, excuse me, are you Lynn Nicholls? And I'm like, yeah. And you know, when I go to the grocery store, I have no makeup on, I'm in my sweats, and it's just like, oh, you look so normal. I kind of am.
Yeah, I'm still a person.
Yeah, I'm just a normal chick with a special skill. That's all.
Yeah, my wife says the same thing. She says, okay, Mr. Answers guy, you got to go empty the trash.
Yes.
Because we are regular people.
Yeah. And do we have, I'm still sitting here in my very modest home, you know, and like I shop at Goodwill or whatever, you know, there's
Goodwill. Goodwill.
Awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever tried shopgoodwill.com?
No.
www.shopgoodwill.com. it's just stuff they know that they will get a little bit more money for, but
Oh,
it doesn't always work out that way. So, I mean, I got a pair of shoes I have on right now that were brand new with the tags on it. I always look them up first. They were $100 online, and I got them for $15.
oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boom. So yeah,
Yeah. I don't
we
have
get a lot of
enough.
stuff.
Yeah, I don't have enough fans to make my life difficult by
Right.
any means. And they're always very sweet. So it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like, oh, me? Me?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, right? Because at least that way you're getting yourself out there, and
Yeah.
you're making a difference.
Yeah, that's what I hope.
Yeah,
Yes,
and people are appreciated. Do you ever get the occasional, because I get this a lot, they will come on my live show and try to trick me?
oh yeah, oh for sure.
Yes.
And it's like, go ahead, try and trick. You can leave. You could try
Yeah.
and trick. I don't care. Because I say I don't play games in real life. I'm not playing games. So
Yeah.
don't waste my time, and don't take up time when there's somebody else that has a legitimate question. I don't appreciate it. Now, if they want to say, I don't know if test is the right word, but skeptics,
Yes.
please, everyone, be a skeptic. Do not accept anything at face value.
Right.
Ask,
Do your homework.
yeah, use what's right for you, but don't make me feel, or you, Daniel, feel less than because of,
Or try to, because they never can.
or try to. But
Yeah.
it's just, please go ahead. Yes, be a skeptic. There's a lot of things I don't believe in.
Yeah.
I do believe in a lot of things, and somebody else does, so you respect that.
Yes. Yeah. I find a lot of them just try to be, if they don't believe in it, they don't want anyone else to believe in it.
Yeah, and that's
a
okay.
shame,
Yeah, it's like, don't waste my time. But some people that have come to test me, they go away with their answer.
Yeah. People, there are just some people in this world who are born to bitch. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's all they
Yeah.
want to do. So they just
know
have
that.
to like go. Because I tell people all the time, if you want to stay away from negative people or negative energy, they are the singer, you're the audience member. If you don't want to listen to it, walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
And then eventually they'll get tired of people walking away from them, and maybe they'll change their idea of how to do things, hopefully.
Yeah.
Or come across somebody like us who will help to change it for them so they can think more positive.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, they come in, there was a lady come in, and she said, oh, I need you to ask me a question about my son who passed away. And then I got no right here. And I said, oh, I can't answer that question. And she said, well, you're the medium, you're telling everybody you know. I said, no, I can't answer the question for you because your son didn't die. Well, just and I said, now that I've brought you out, please leave my room, because and oh, you're a fraud and everything. I said, well, if I'm a fraud, how did I know that your son did not die?
Exactly.
Bye. And then they block them. That's all. Yeah, it does make it hard for us. And I believe so. Do you think that television and movies has kind of screwed it up for us?
It's a blessing and it's a curse, television.
Yeah.
Because no, they don't look like they do on that movie, The Sixth Sense. They don't come all bloody. Well, not that I've seen. But I think some. Yeah. Oh, gee. But people like John Edward and Teresa Caputo, they brought it more into the mainstream. So it's definitely more accepted.
Yes, it is.
But of course, Hollywood has to Hollywoodify everything to make it sell. So 99% of the things you see in movies and on TV are not even close to reality. Yeah,
I tell them all the time. These spirits are not nuns coming at you with a knife, and they are not clowns coming out of a storm drain. So no. They are negative. They will say horrible things or just look at you with a horrible way. But I do see them all the time in the other side. And they actually glow the color red when I see them. So I know the difference between one or the other and stuff like that.
Right.
But again, they're just negative. And I call them negative energy vampires because they need negative energy to thrive where they are being negative. So they just try to find someone who is negative to latch onto them to get their, and they will bring you a little bit of negativity. So you'll try to feel negative. But I always tell people, if you ever feel something like that around you, think about ice cream and puppy dogs, and that'll make them go away. They don't want to be in that space. They don't want to, like two magnets, they can't take up the same space. So I always try to teach people, again, it's about being positive. You have to put as much positive energy out there. And even though sometimes these negative energies might come in and try to influence you as well as positive energies do, but these negative will try to do that. But even if they do that, even with living ones, someone can say, hey, I want you to go out and beat somebody up. But you have a thinking mind that can say, no, I'm a good person.
Right.
Put that positive energy out there, and then listen to the good ones, listen to the living ones here, and listen to the other ones on the other side who are trying to help us as well, because they want us to be good people as well and be good to others. So let all the negative ones just go by the wayside and let them figure it out for themselves. And hopefully someone will help them to make a change. And if they want to listen, they will. If they don't, it's okay. Move on to somebody you can help. I mean, it's just the way it is. So let me see if I've covered everything here. I'm looking on my list. You don't mind if you're being called Lynn Marie? Yeah, okay. Just saying. This is one thing. What is the Mindwell Sessions?
Oh, I don't even know if he does them anymore, but it was a wonderful local fella. By local, I mean he's about 2 hours away. He did, it was an online TV show about mental health, overcoming anxiety and depression, and how to do that. And so when I was on, we spoke about how to use your intuition to overcome anxiety and depression, to help. It's not the full, not the full thing, but it will certainly help you if you can get in touch with your intuition.
It's a good start.
Yes. Yeah.
Because my analogy I give for that is, if you were my friend and you were an alcoholic and I was your best friend, I would say, hey, I'll take you to all the meetings. I'll take you to, I'll keep you away from drugs and alcohol. I'll keep you away from all the bars, even though who doesn't like a good strip club? But hey, I'll do the best I can for you. But until you choose to make a decision to stop drinking, it's not going to matter what I say or do. You have to want to do that. And if you can teach them to get out of their mind and get into listening to their body and to their intuition, that's a start. They have to want to start to do it themselves.
Yes.
But they always want someone else to hold their hand along the way.
Yep, for sure.
And if you're willing to do that, I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. And so you say he doesn't do that too often anymore, or?
I don't think he does it any longer. I haven't seen it come across Facebook or Instagram.
You think 2020 changed all that?
Yeah. Especially for anxiety and depression. It probably, maybe he just couldn't deal. I don't know. I didn't feel like dealing with it. There's so much going on that some things that brought us joy, some people had to let go of.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what happened. Great guy, was doing such phenomenal work, and I hope he comes back to do it again too.
Yeah, because I mean, we do need more of that in this. That is a large. I worked in prison for 6 years, and I was around those types of people, and I worked with the mental health people, and that is a big part of why they are where they are, because of the mental health side of it. Yeah. Unfortunately, people want to look at inmates just doing these things on their own, but because I was in medical records, I was able to see the psychological part of it, and you could see their whole family was kind of, they never really learned right from wrong, and that's a shame. And unfortunately, a lot of the prison system is about money, and it's not about rehabilitation anymore.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. But another unfortunate part, a lot of the mental health side is also expensive as well. But hopefully they can find more out there. But like with you, like with me, I'm sure you did this. When you found out or realized this is who you are, did you try to seek out others who were just like you? I mean, I'm sure that was hard to do when you were 12, but.
Not when I was 12. Yeah. But as I got older, I started gravitating toward Reiki. I don't do that anymore. But, and okay, this is going to sound terrible.
No, it's
I don't
not.
have a huge network of psychic people around me.
Right.
People that work in the field. I have a lot of friends that are very intuitive.
Right.
But no, I don't want to say I'm a loner, but I do like to just kind of sit back and do my own thing. And I don't want to hear everybody else's opinion about what I'm doing, even though
Right.
people are very free to offer that. And I if there's a good intuitive, I'm sorry, but there's not a lot of great ones out there. But I'm happy to connect with them and learn from them and share information. But like you said, there is a lot of ego out there.
Yeah.
And some people just don't want anything to do with you. And I do very well at what I do. And people don't like that.
Would you agree there's a lot of unfortunate competition? And
Yeah.
I even hate to call it a business, but there's competition in this business.
Of course there is. And yeah, of course there is. You go on TikTok or Instagram, there's psychic mediums out the wazoo, right? So
Right.
I'm not, what do they say about the whole flower analogy? I can't remember, but it's like, I'm not competing against these people. I'm just competing against who I was yesterday. I just want to do
Right.
better. I just want to be happy. I just
Yeah.
want to create. I found something I'm good at and I want to make an impact with it. And I want to be able to build a life doing it. So
Yeah, that's why I said I don't think it's bad with what you say, because like if I've done other interviews with some other people and they say, have you ever read the book by this person, or have you ever watched the video on this person? And I always tell them no. And they say, really? And I say, yeah, I don't like to read other people's books and I don't like to watch their videos because I don't want that to influence what
right.
I have going on with me.
I don't do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I when I do a reading for someone, they'll say, well, oh, did you look at my Facebook page? No,
No,
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it to dilute what I do. So, and that's how you get your real clarity for this. Your real,
Right.
you know, everything that you know is actually happening. You know. But I don't read books anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to stay away from the outside influence because I don't want it to have what I do suffer.
Mhm. Right. And I just want to rely on my own intuition. How should I approach this? I don't want to get it from a book or a video. It's like, what should I do that's best for me and best for the person sitting in front of me?
Yes. Yeah. I have two other friends that are, well, four other friends, but two of them live out on the other side. I don't really see them or talk to them too much, but I don't really talk to them about how do you do this or how do you do that, because I have to do what works best for me.
Exactly. Yep.
And
Exactly.
like we said earlier, you know, everybody, you have an ability and it just works differently for you. You talk to mom and dads and brothers and sisters and kids and all that stuff. I can get information about them, but my information is just more direct about you moving forward with your life. The information that you get is by no means less. It's just you get it from a different source. You help them really get over something.
Yes, I've heard
the sorrow.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard I went to a therapist for 2 years, nothing, and then I sit with you for an hour, and I feel good. I can go forward, and that's the best part of my career.
Absolutely. I tell that to my wife all the time. This is the best part because I get to help people every day when I do this. And as Spirit tells me, our purpose is we are here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, because you should. Not just opening a door and saying hello, but it's going to be something physical that's going to happen throughout your life. It's not becoming a doctor or a lawyer. That's your just choice to do that, but you'll fulfill your purpose while being one thing that we all have in common, being human. That's all. But it's our choice to do that using our free will. You could walk around and go, oh, somebody walked up to you and say, hello, I need your help. I'm lost. And you could say, forget you, man. I hate people. I ain't doing nothing. Well, if you want to do that, that's fine. But every time you do help someone, it does feel good inside. It's resonating with your soul, which gives you those goosebumps that let you know you're doing something good here. So why not do that? Why can't you just do that? Just help somebody in this world. But
So it's not, it's a little selfish. It makes me feel good.
Yeah,
So-
why not? Yeah, hey, it's I don't have to. Not that I do. I don't have to drink or do drugs or anything because I get an instant self gratification out every time I do help someone else, and it's good for them and good for me at the same time. So why not, right?
Yeah, beautiful. Right.
So I've pretty much taken up enough of your time. So tell them, even though I will put all your links in my my video here, and we will talk about them at the beginning of the show because my wife does great voiceovers and I don't. So let my audience know where they can find you. How can they get a hold of you?
So you can go to my website, which is lynnnicholls.com. It's just a very simple standard website. I'm more active on Instagram, so at Lynn_Nicholls, or on Facebook, Lynn Nicholls Intuition Expert. I mean, I do the TikTok thing too, but I'm not on there very much. I don't dance and do funky stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a good dancer.
No, but if you do search Lynn Nicholls, please make sure it's the right one, because I have a couple scammers and spammers that are messaging people and asking for money, and that's something I will never do. So just make sure you're at the right one.
Yeah. When we started with this show, Beyond the Veil, with Daniel Jackson, we started with Beyond the Veil. And when I put that in, there was like a gazillion of them. And the very first one came up with something that I don't know why this had to do with Beyond the Veil, but it was about reading books from Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we changed it to Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, because I'm Spirit Medium Daniel, like yours, Lynn Nicholls.
Right.
I just do Spirit Medium Daniel. It's very easy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Glad that it came across. So I'm glad that you said those. So now they'll be able to find you. But like I said, we're going to put all your links up so they'll be able to find you anyway. And then what we will do is every time I go on, when we actually bring this show out, which will actually be a while because we got so many shows, but I'll send you a link to let you know. But I like to go on all the podcasting groups on Facebook and just show it everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and then we actually have a dedicated website for the show too, so people can always come to the website as well and check you out, and then they can find you and listen to where you are. And so you are super duper busy. I mean, do you ever have people, or I'm sure you have cancellations? I mean, do you have other people call you and say, hey, I'm on, like you said, a waiting list or what have you?
Yeah. So now I'm at the point where if people ask, it's like, you're on the waiting list, you're on the waiting list, you're on the waiting list. So luckily there are cancellations, and my admin person can go in and just fill the slots. So that's helpful.
Yeah, I saw that. I got an email from your assistant. I was like, wow, I have an assistant too, but she's called my wife.
Yeah. I don't like I said before about bookings and all this, I don't like doing emails either. So I just want to do what I enjoy doing. And, we're at that age in life where that's what it should be about, is just do what you enjoy doing.
Yes, absolutely. When we were doing the festival circuit or any other time we do those, I just sit in a chair and wait for people to come up to me. My wife takes care of all the money. She takes care of putting them in line, letting them know all that stuff. All I have to do, like with this, is I just have to be me, which it makes it simpler for you, I guess, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, so, and if you're busy all the time, if you can keep someone else also employed with that, I mean, hey, that's pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good for everybody. And I myself, I don't like to call them clients.
I know it's
man, that's a hard thing to think about, because you do have that, like that intimate relationship with them, and then sometimes they keep coming back, and for other, do you have repeat people that come back?
Oh yeah, some people I'll never see again because they just needed that
push,
little spot of time. But yeah, my regular clients, most of them come twice a year.
Yeah,
a lot of them come once a year. Some people want to come every other month. I'm like, not a chance. I'm not letting you do that.
No.
The only people that come more often are people that have, say, lost a child or lost somebody very close to them, and I don't charge them. Like having lost a child, I can't charge them. So I'll just come by, we'll chat with your kid.
Yeah, there's so many times I talk to people just out on the street. I don't charge. I mean, I get a message, I tell them. I mean,
Yeah.
and if it's about a lost loved one, I just tell them. And
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah.
because that's just us giving as well. And then
Yeah.
we just try to give as much as we can, because that's the reason why we have this ability as well, to help others. But but we don't have to we don't have to try to scrape every dime out of their pocket,
Oh, no. And I give away a lot of things for fundraisers
Yep, me
and
too.
events. And it's just a little, in the show that I'm doing May 17th, we're raffling off a couple of readings, and half the proceeds from that are going to Pathstone Mental Health, which is a local center here.
Cool.
So,
Cool beans, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good.
And
Yeah.
what's wrong with that? Nothing.
I always said if I had a platform to do good, I'm damn well going to use it.
Yeah, I
So,
think you're already standing on it already.
yeah, I'm trying. I'm
Yeah,
trying.
yeah. Just make sure you got good balance. I have horrible balance, so yeah.
Well,
Again, there are some people out there who want us to fall flat on our face, but we do too much good to be able to do that in the first place. So
I hope so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're doing okay, lady. You got nothing to worry about. All right, well, I guess I will end the program here, and I hope everyone enjoyed the program. I hope they do enjoy the program. I hope you get a hold of Lynn Nicholls, because she is one of those people who does help other people, and she's not just, there's a difference between just being good at it and being good, and she is one of the good ones, because she does help people, and that's what's important here. So I hope everyone has a great day. And as I always tell everybody at the end of my show, be good and don't do any stupid shit. Have a good day. Bye-bye, everybody. So look at that smile on her face.
This was Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss an episode. For more information about Lynn, visit her at www.lynnnicholls.com. LYNNNICHOLLS.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson.